When the Great Pyramid, for some reason, stopped producing enough power, they took the Ark of the Covenant and they created that rose granite box inside the king's chamber and they put it inside of there.
What is the Ark of the Covenant?
It's a power generating technology. When you begin to read even the biblical text, you discover it was technology. The person that handled it had to have on rubber boots, right? It's electric. You had to have on special rubber gloves. You had to have on these breastplates. The descriptions of this thing, sending out lightning bolts and all this stuff and vibrations and buzzes, it's electrical. So some scientists at a university in America reproduced it utilizing the same instructions in the biblical text. And guess what? It generated so much power they had to shut it down. It was technology. And that's what was inside of the stone box. How do I know? It's the same exact dimensions as the Ark of the Covenant. And that's what happened when Moses, aka probably Akhenaten, I think it was really the person, fled Egypt.
In a dramatic twist of ancient history and modern science, the Great Pyramid, once a beacon of power, faced a mysterious decline. To reignite its energy, the ancient Egyptians resorted to a secret weapon, the Ark of the Covenant. Far from mere myth, this Ark was a sophisticated power-generating device. Biblical texts hint at its electric nature, describing handlers in rubber boots, gloves, and protective breastplates. Lightning bolts, vibrations, and buzzing sounds surrounded this enigmatic artifact. Intrigued by these descriptions, American scientists decided to replicate the Ark using biblical instructions. Astonishingly, their creation generated such immense power that they were forced to shut it down. This technological marvel fit perfectly into the rose granite box inside the king's chamber of the Great Pyramid, matching the Ark's dimensions precisely. This revelation hints at a dramatic crossover between ancient technology and modern discovery, suggesting that Moses, possibly the heretic pharaoh Akhenaten, fled Egypt with a piece of advanced tech hidden within a sacred box.
So what was the purpose of this powerful ark? Like what was it used for? Like how are they used? They use these pyramids as giant power structures, and this ark was like the reactor or
like
something.
The reactor, right.
So what were they doing?
Well, in the desert, when they had it out in the desert, it would give them power. It would give them power to power something called the manna machine, and the manna machine would generate this food for the masses of people that followed him out into the desert. And so it had this capability of generating food. Also, when they were out there, they saw enemies were trying to attack them. I don't know who these enemies were. It never clearly says who they were or why they were attacking, but they would then use this thing as a weapon. It would send a beam out and kill these people. So this is technology, and that's in the Bible.
Wow, that's fascinating.
It's not magic. It's not a sky daddy with a magic wand. It's like real hardcore tech that was used.
Imagine the ancient world, where the desert sands concealed secrets beyond imagination. So, what was the purpose of this powerful ark? This wasn't just any ordinary artifact. It was a colossal energy source, a reactor of sorts. Picture pyramids acting as immense power structures, with this ark at their core, pulsating with energy. Out in the vast desert, this ark provided a mysterious power. It wasn't just about energy, it fueled something called the manna machine. This extraordinary device generated food for the masses, sustaining them in the harsh wilderness. But its capabilities didn't end there. The ark was also a formidable weapon. Enemies, shrouded in the sands of time, dared to attack, but they were met with devastating beams from this ark, obliterating any threat. This wasn't magic or divine intervention. It was advanced technology, buried in the ancient texts of the Bible. It's mind-blowing to think that such hardcore tech existed, shrouded in the mystique of history.
Devices in hieroglyphs, which I took everybody to go see.
Pause 1 second. What did you say was inside the box?
The Ark of the Covenant.
What is the Ark of the Covenant?
If you look into biblical text, for example, there was this ark that Moses stole. All right, he had this box. He claimed it was given to him by God, but I think he stole it from the Egyptians. This is why they fled after him.
An ark.
Yeah, so it's this box with these cherubims on it, but these cherubims are it's really a capacitor. It generates a lot of electricity. Inside of this box is something that has so much radiation, that's what it looks like there, that you had to have on specific type of clothing, which is well described even in the Bible. Rubber boots, gloves, this type of suit with this breastplate of metal on it. This is all to prevent the radiation poisoning. When somebody didn't have it on in the Bible and they touched the ark, they would become very sick. Their hair would fall out, their nose would bleed, their eyes would bleed, their fingernails would fall off. Radiation sickness. This thing was generating some type of radiation power, some type of a generator of power of some sort. And it was connected to the Great Pyramid. It was in that box. Evidence for this, for me, that box has a gigantic piece of the granite missing off one corner, like an explosion happened from inside the box. If you look across the Grand Gallery, across the King's Chamber, there's a wall about maybe 30 feet away. The impact from that giant piece of granite that snapped off, it cut that granite on the wall, the exact shape of that corner piece.
Wow.
Something explosive happened there. For you to throw a piece of granite that heavy, that far, and impact that way, so there was energy in there. Now, if you go back to the story of Moses, it really was Pharaoh Akhenaten. Moses is not the real name. That's the made-up name. Pharaoh Akhenaten, who was ushering in monotheism in Egypt while he was a pharaoh, worshiping Amen-Ra, the great Amen. Amen-Ra was one of these Anunnaki people, said, look, from now on, there'll be no other God but me. That made it into the Bible. When you say thanks, you say thanks to me, you say amen. That made it into the Bible. Teach the people only to worship me, not any of my other relatives. I'm the only one and true God. And he began to do that. Then he made it.
In a world where ancient secrets intertwine with modern revelations, I discovered the hidden power of the Ark of the Covenant. Devices in hieroglyphs led us to an astonishing discovery, the Ark of the Covenant. This legendary artifact, rooted in biblical texts, was allegedly stolen by Moses from the Egyptians. But what if Moses was actually Pharaoh Akhenaten, the monotheistic ruler of Egypt? Inside this mysterious box, guarded by cherubims that are actually sophisticated capacitors, lies a source of immense power. This power generated dangerous levels of radiation, necessitating protective clothing described even in the Bible: rubber boots, gloves, and a suit with a metal breastplate. Those who touched the ark unprotected suffered horrifying radiation sickness, hair loss, bleeding, and even death. Evidence of its power is etched in history, with a piece of granite missing from the ark flung across the king's chamber, impacting the wall 30 feet away with explosive force. This was no ordinary box. It was a generator of immense energy. Pharaoh Akhenaten, not Moses, was the true figure behind this story, promoting the worship of Amen-Ra. This decree made its way into the Bible, with the command to worship only one God, Amen-Ra. The echoes of this ancient order resonate through time, hidden in plain sight, waiting to be uncovered.
If you go back to the story of Moses, it really was Pharaoh Akhenaten. Moses is not the real name. That's the made-up name. Pharaoh Akhenaten, who was ushering in monotheism in Egypt while he was a pharaoh, worshiping Amen-Ra, the great Amen. Amen-Ra was one of these Anunnaki people, said, look, from now on, there'll be no other God but me. That made it into the Bible. When you say thanks, you say thanks to me, you say amen. That made it into the Bible. Teach the people only to worship me, not any of my other relatives. I'm the only one and true God. And he began to do that. Then he made an order to go start defacing all the hieroglyphs and all of these statues around Egypt. That's why the noses and the ears are chipped off. That's why the faces are chipped off everywhere you go. Bodies are chipped away. It wasn't done. The hypothesis on the streets is that it was done because white people back then didn't want black people to know that there were black people in Egypt. That's actually false. The true reality is this was done in ancient times, and it was carried on by Coptic Christians long before Jesus was even born.
Imagine the tale of Moses, not as you've known it, but reimagined. Picture Pharaoh Akhenaten, the radical ruler who dared to challenge the gods of Egypt, introducing monotheism under the divine rule of Amen-Ra. Akhenaten, not Moses, was the true name, and he was no ordinary pharaoh. He was an Anunnaki, commanding that from then on, Amen-Ra was the sole deity to be worshipped, etching this decree into history. This shift made its way into the Bible, subtly transforming the way we express gratitude with the word Amen. Akhenaten ordered the defacement of Egypt's grand statues and intricate hieroglyphs, chipping away noses, ears, and faces, not to erase the black identity of ancient Egyptians, as some myths suggest, but to enforce his monotheistic doctrine. This act of erasure was a declaration of the new faith, carried forward by Coptic Christians long before the birth of Jesus, rewriting history one chipped stone at a time. In this blend of ancient and modern, the truth of the Ark of the Covenant reveals a history more electrifying than we ever imagined. The secrets of the past, intertwined with the discoveries of today, remind us that the lines between myth and reality are often blurred, waiting for us to uncover them. If you found this journey through history as thrilling as we did, make sure to give this video a thumbs up and hit that subscribe button. Don't forget to click the bell icon to get notified about our latest discoveries and explorations. Your support helps us continue to uncover the mysteries of the past and bring you more fascinating content. Thanks for watching, and see you in the next adventure.